Alright, so we are back. This time to talk about the Demon Hunter cards. And it looks like there's going to be a few more tools for the aggro Demon Hunter deck. So let's get into all these cards. So first off, we have Bladed Lady, a 6-cost 6/6 demon with rush, and costs 1 less if your hero has 6, or no, costs 1 if your hero has 6 or more attack. I think this card can be pretty good with like high attack weapon stuff, which it might be a bit slow for the aggro Demon Hunter. I don't know if it works well for some of the other decks. It could honestly be pretty good for the Soul Demon Hunter, because in there you got the Marrow Slicer, which is a 4 attack, and it's not hard to gain 2 more. Actually, I think aggro Demon Hunter also has Marrow Slicer, so that it will probably be pretty easy to get that too. So I think that could be, this card could be very good in both of those decks. So I think that is very much a possibility of Bladed Lady going into both of those decks. So I'm going to give this a 8 out of 10 because I think it's very good. And type of decks is both of those most likely. I'm guessing it's for sure going to be in Soul Demon Hunter, and it could very well likely be an aggro Demon Hunter as well. Expendable Performers, 7-cost Demon Hunter spell. You summon 7 1/1 Eladrin with rush. If they all die this turn, you summon 7 more. I think this card has a lot of value, but probably doesn't work for too many of the Demon Hunter decks, sadly. I mean, it's not a bad card. It has plenty of value. It's just not probably going to work in this meta that much. So, I will give it a 7 out of 10. Type of deck you'll expect this in is probably only the Token Demon Hunter, which looks like it's only a tier 3, if I remember correctly. So it's not amazing, but it could maybe help out boost the Token Demon Hunter. Renowned Performer, 4-cost 3/3 with rush. Death Rattle, summon 2 1/1 assistants with taunt. I think that's honestly pretty decent as well. 4-cost 3/3 with rush is pretty solid to start off, and you get plenty of value after it dies as well. The taunts are also going to help slow stuff down. Probably not terribly useful in too many Demon Hunter decks. It's not a bad card, but it just doesn't fit Demon Hunter very well in any way. So I'm going to go with a 6 out of 10, and maybe it would only go into Token Demon Hunter. Maybe. Probably not, most likely, because I think you want more stuff than just 2 1/1s. But it's not bad. Stilt Stepper, 3-cost 4/4 Battlecry. You draw a card. If you play that card this turn, you give your hero +4 attack this turn. I like it. I like it a lot. It can do well if you play it later, or if you have an aggressive deck with a lot of cheap cards, or generally just cheap cards. Because even if you have some expensive cards in there, then it could cause problems. The highest card you could have in the deck is 7 then. And then you play this turn 3, and then you play whatever cards you draw. Which aggro decks probably don't have anything above 7 to begin with. So it works out well for being in an aggressive deck. So I think it could fit into an aggro Demon Hunter deck, but it might not be as good as I initially thought. It's still not bad, but I do still like it. So I will give it a 7 out of 10. And the type of decks it would go into is most likely just aggro Demon Hunter. That's probably about it. Felsteel Executioner. 3-cost, 4/3 elemental. If you corrupt it, it becomes a weapon instead. Which, a 4/3 weapon for 3 is pretty darn good. I like it. Does, I mean, it helps out, I think, any deck that needs a bigger weapon for Demon Hunter. So it's not... It's weird because you want to put it into an aggro deck because a 4/3 weapon for 3 is very good in an aggressive deck, but it's difficult to corrupt it then in an aggressive deck. Because generally aggressive decks don't have too many expensive cards, so maybe it's just kind of sitting in your hand until you get the card that you're hoping for to corrupt it, and then you can finally get it out there, but it's a weird... It's at a weird spot to put it. So I am actually going to give it a 6 out of 10. And then I think the only option it maybe has is probably aggro Demon Hunter. That's probably its only hope there of where it could get into. Unstable Felhound. 3-cost, 2/5 demon with taunt, corrupt game +1/+1, and lifesteal. It's not a bad card. It just doesn't fit anywhere in Demon Hunter, sadly. Because it's not difficult to corrupt, but it's still not that amazing. It kind of is helpful with the other card that has lifesteal, and then lifesteal to deal damage instead. But it's still not enough. It's too slow for that kind of card then, because that's meant to be kind of aggressive because you don't want to heal, you're just doing damage instead. So it doesn't work as well, sadly. So it is still going to get a 6 out of 10. Type of deck you probably won't see it around, sadly, because it's too slow for what Demon Hunter does, really. Acrobats. Acrobatics. Dang it, I did that last time too. Acrobatics. 3-cost spell. You draw 2 cards. If you play both this turn, you draw 2 more. So it's a lot of card draw, but you really honestly can't do too much anymore after that. It's basically like a buffed up version of an Arcane Intellect. But it doesn't work very well for an aggressive deck because you're spending 6 on just drawing cards and you're doing nothing else, which kind of sucks because you're meant to keep playing stuff to attack, and then there's some options that you use for drawing, but it's more efficient than this. I mean, it's not a bad card still. It's still not bad. It just doesn't work for anything, right? It doesn't work for anything right now. So, overall, I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. Let's go 7 out of 10. I think 7 out of 10 is more fair. Type of decks, you probably won't see it unless some type of more control-y type Demon Hunter comes around, which probably won't happen because that's not a thing and it probably won't be for a long time. Dreadlords Bite. 3-cost, 3/3 outcast. You deal 1 damage to all enemies. I saw Trump talking about this, that it's meant to be in an aggressive deck. And I mean, I see that. The outcast isn't bad, but the weapon itself is... If you don't play the outcast, it's just another Fiery War Axe, which we know Fiery War Axe isn't amazing. And the outcast really isn't that much better, so I don't think it's honestly that good of an option for aggro Demon Hunter. I think it's not good enough. Yes, you're dealing 1 damage to all enemies, but woohoo, that really doesn't do much. Because you're most likely just trying to go face, and you're only doing 1 more to it. And then otherwise it's just a boring fiery war axe, which we know isn't that good. So, honestly, in my opinion, I don't think this card is that great. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. Because I don't think it's that great. Sadly. It's okay, but it's not that good. So 4 out of 10 is, I think, where it should sit. Type of decks, I guess you may see this in Aggro Demon Hunter, but probably not. Or at least I think not. Marrow Slicer is, I think, a much better option. Because it's a 4-2 for 4. So you're doing more damage. Yes, it costs more, but you're doing more damage still. And then you can have that for other soul effects that can be aggressive as well, if you want to put that in. So then Marrow Slicer gives a bit more flexibility of what you can do then as well. So Fell Scream Blast. 1 cost, Lifesteal, deal 1 damage to a minion and its neighbors. This card doesn't really fit Demon Hunter that well. I think it would be way more beneficial in other, like literally any other class. Demon Hunter really doesn't have much, like any spell damage. The only spell damage they really have is, I believe, from the neutrals, and that's it. I don't think they have any from their own class cards. So really they only have the neutral to buff this. And it's just, it doesn't fit Demon Hunter. It's just, it doesn't do enough because it's very difficult to have spell damage in Demon Hunter. And the spell damage that you do have from the neutrals isn't that good to begin with because, you know, they're neutrals. They're not class specific. Class specifics are generally a lot better because they have to be a lot more cautious with the neutrals because literally any class can use it, so it makes it a bit... So they generally make those... They're a lot more careful with those, make them a bit weaker. Because, like, oh, I'd rather play the class version of this because it's better. It's like, yeah, that's exactly how it should be generally most of the time. That's why Pure Paladin is amazing. Because you don't need neutrals. So really, this card isn't that great. It doesn't work well for Demon Hunter. I'm going to go a 2 out of 10. It's not good. And you won't see it in any deck. Line Hopper. 3 cost, 3/4. Your outcast cards cost 1 less. I think this card is very strong, especially for getting outcast cards cheaper. I don't know what deck necessarily has a lot of outcast. I don't know if Soul Demon Hunter does. Aggro Demon Hunter, I think, has a decent amount of outcast stuff. I don't know. I'm honestly not sure if Soul Demon Hunter does, but honestly, it could probably find its way in there if it has outcast stuff, because this card, honestly, is pretty darn good. Outcast stuff is already good, but just making outcast stuff cheaper makes them even stronger. And the stat line isn't even bad either with that effect. So I'm gonna give the card an 8 out of 10. And type of decks, it could very well go into Soul Demon Hunter. Probably not aggro, it's probably too slow for aggro. Yeah, it's making stuff cheaper, but it still is a bit slow for aggro, so I think really only Soul Demon Hunter is where it would probably go. Redeemed Porrick. 2 cost, 2/3. After you play an outcast card, you gain +1/+1. Again, this is going with the... This could honestly kind of go with his buddy Line Hopper. Just a bunch of outcast stuff. I'm just wondering if like an outcast deck would be a thing. Probably not. It probably wouldn't be horrible, but it wouldn't be like amazing. It would probably do like tier 3, tier 4. Probably could not reach tier 2 or tier 1 guaranteed. Guaranteed would not hit tier 1. Probably not tier 2. Probably either 3 or 4 is where it would probably sit around. But like they're getting outcast stuff is already pretty strong. And now you're giving benefits to playing outcast stuff. Man, that's just getting stronger and stronger with that kind of stuff, aren't we? I think it's still pretty good. I think it could still find its way into some other deck as well, even if Outcast isn't too much of a thing, or an Outcast deck isn't too much of a thing. So I'm going to go with a 7 out of 10. And I think it could probably go into the Soul Demon Hunter again. That could probably be another option for Soul Demon Hunter. It's like, hey, we already play a decent amount of Outcast. How about we buff up a card each time we do that? Sure. Relentless Pursuit. 3 cost. Spell. Give your hero +4 attack. And immune this turn. It's okay. It's not great. It's not very good at being an aggressive card because it's only for the turn and it costs 3. It's like Bite. Bite isn't aggressive. It's usually meant to clear stuff off the board, which Demon Hunter really doesn't do much, especially with the type of decks. So if anything, it would maybe go into Soul Demon Hunter, would be my guess. But even that might be pushing it. This would more look at a control Demon Hunter, which doesn't have enough to really be a thing. And it also doesn't make sense for the class. Because Demon Hunter is the most aggressive deck in the game right now. So I'll give it a 5 out of 10. It's not amazing. It's got useful uses, but not right now, and it probably never will. It's not bad. So type of deck this might go into, probably it would only go into like a control deck, but that's not going to be a thing. So you probably won't see it around in standard. Throw Glaive. 1 cost, deal 2 damage to a minion. If it dies, add a temporary copy of this to your hand. So basically, Echo accepts until your turn is done. And if you kill stuff, basically. You have to be killing things. So it's a weird kind of Echo. It's like you have to meet this requirement for it to echo. I think it's fine, but it just doesn't work in any deck again. And it just doesn't make sense for Demon Hunter again. Demon Hunters do not try to control the board. Well, they kind of do, but this doesn't make sense for Demon Hunter. This does not go along with the Demon Hunter class. Demon Hunter is gain attack, hit things, play a bunch of small rush stuff, and all that kind of stuff. That's what they do. Hit face, basically don't care about doing control. This card is fine, it just doesn't make sense for Demon Hunter. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. And the type of deck that it would be in is none of the current ones that will be around. It would only go into a control one, which will not exist. Zai, the Incredible. 5 cost, 5/5 legendary. Battlecry, copy the left and rightmost cards in your hand. This card isn't bad. It's super useful for Outcast stuff. Because if you make copies of Outcast stuff, then you get more Outcast stuff, and then more Outcast. Basically, Outcast is what I'm saying. Did you catch that? Hold on, let me one more time. Outcast. That's all you need to know. No, but it's really weird because it's like it wants to copy the like Outcast stuff, but most likely you kind of played the Outcast stuff already. You gotta like perfectly line it up, and you're just gonna leave the leftmost card of your hand as an Outcast just sitting around for a while you wait for the rightmost one to be an Outcast so you can get more value. It's kind of weird. It's just in a strange position, and I don't know if it would really fit anywhere. So I am going to give this I am going to give this a 6 out of 10. And type of deck is, honestly, you probably won't see it around. You might see it for experimentation. That's probably what I can guarantee. I can guarantee you'll see him around, but it's probably just for experimentation. You probably will not see him for an actual meta deck. I don't think. Il'gynoth. 4 cost, 2/6 legendary with Lifesteal. Your Lifesteal damages the enemy hero instead of healing you. This is the card I was talking about with the other Lifesteal, but the other Lifesteal is too slow. This Lifesteal is slow, but you still have to play it to get that damage off, which is helpful in some scenarios. It is helpful against control. It is not helpful against other aggro decks, because now you cannot heal at all. Which, does Aggro Demon Hunter have healing? I think it has a little. Just so it can kind of beat other aggro stuff. But we all know Aggro Demon Hunter is the best aggro deck. Well, besides Face Hunter. Face Hunter is really good. We can't ignore Face Hunter. Right, but aggro Demon Hunter is still pretty darn good. So this helps out with some specific against certain specific decks, but it's not like amazing or anything. It's good. I like it. It has a very cool effect, and it can help out. It can help out in aggro Demon Hunter, I think. So I will give it a 7 out of 10. And the type of decks you'll see it in is probably aggro Demon Hunter. Probably won't see it in other ones. But anyway, that is it for the Demon Hunter cards. Next time, I will see you for the Hunter cards.